Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. And welcome to my new Budget Bite series. If you missed the introduction video for this series, I'll leave it linked in the description box so you can go check it out. And I tell in that video the purpose for eating the freezers, fridge, and pantry down. This is just a series of videos where I'm going into my freezers, fridge, pantry, whatever I have at home, and I'm making just simple everyday meals from what I already have. So if we're going to make any headway on this, we better get started. Let's go. Okay, for this budget bite, I have pulled out these Smithfield breakfast sausage links that I had just stuck off in the freezer. So I'm going to be eating a couple of these. And these were frozen also. I just stuck them off in the freezer when I bought them. And I'm going to attempt to break some of these off and cook some of them also. So it won't get rid of both of these items, but it will be a start to getting them gone. I've put some of my hash browns in this hot oil back here. And we're just going to let these cook up. I am going to add some salt to them. And some black pepper. I'm going to add the rest of this green onion onto my hash browns. My sausage is ready. I've got just a little bitty bit of cheese in here. You can barely even see it. That's how little there is in there. But I'm going to sprinkle this on my hash browns as they finish up cooking. While my hash browns finish cooking, I'm going to fry me an egg. Add me a little salt, a little pepper. My hash browns are ready. Egg is done. My egg is done. So I'm going to go eat sausage links, hash browns, and a fried egg. Got some of the hash browns out of the freezer, a couple of the sausage links, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do with the rest of the hash browns. So stay tuned. Okay, here we go for the next budget bite. I've got some butter in my pot back here and I've melted it down. I'm going to add in some diced onion. Now I'm just going to saute this onion in that butter for just a couple of minutes. I just want it to get just a little soft. Now I'm going to take 1 to 2 cubes of this garlic. Got it right here. I keep it in the freezer. I'm just going to pop it right in. I think I'm going to do 2. And you can see them in there. They just melt down. I'm going to get it incorporated in with the onions and the butter. And as soon as they get melted down, we'll go to the next step. Next, I'm going to add in the rest of those hash browns that I didn't cook before. Now, I've dumped those frozen hash browns in there, and I'm going to add 2 cups of water. Those hash browns are starting to break apart, and that's what I want since they were frozen. Now, instead of water, you use chicken broth, but I don't have any chicken broth, so I'm going to be using this. I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons of my chicken bouillon in there also, and that's probably going to be enough just to give it a little bit of flavor. I'm just going to stir that around in there until it dissolves. Now, I'm just making a very simple, quick, and easy potato soup. So if you don't like onions, you can skip the first step. Just don't do the onions. Just go straight to the chicken broth or water and bouillon and your potatoes. You want to just get them in a pot and you want to bring this to a boil. Once this comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a low to medium, and I'm just going to let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. By the way, you can make this in a crock pot. I didn't because I waited too late in the day to get it started. So I decided I would just cook it on the stove top instead of waiting till tomorrow to make it. But you can just put everything in a crock pot and walk away for a few hours, and you'll have a tasty potato soup when you come back. I am going to add just a little more water to mine. That was about a half a cup. I'm going to go ahead and add in the other half, so I added a total of 3 cups of water to mine. My soup has been cooking now for probably about 10 minutes. I'm going to take me a potato masher. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm going to mash up some of those hash browns in there to make it a little creamier. And I am going to be adding either some half and half milk or heavy whipping cream in towards the end. To go with my potato soup, I want some cornbread, but I don't want just plain cornbread. I want some jalapeno cornbread. Now, I'm going to adapt the way I would normally cook a pound of cornbread if it was jalapeno cornbread. I'm going to leave an ingredient out that I was taught to put in it whenever I make jalapeno cornbread. I don't really think you have to have that ingredient in, so I'm leaving it out. So to start my cornbread off, I've got my little cast iron skillet back here. This is my dedicated cast iron for a small pound of cornbread. I have some bacon grease right here. Now, we strain our bacon grease. You don't have to. I just prefer it that way. I'm going to pop this into the oven, and I'm going to let this bacon grease start melting down and get all nice and greasy in the pan. And in the meantime, we're going to get the cornbread mixed up. I'm going to use a half a cup of cornmeal mix. And I'm going to put in a spoon of flour. Now I'm going to use this little bitty egg right here. I actually get to choose which size I want, and since it's a very small pound of cornbread, I chose the very small egg. Now, I like to beat my egg before I add it in. Do it how you want to. Put your egg in. Just get that egg mixed up in there. Now take you some milk or buttermilk. I got buttermilk. I'm just going to add me some milk in. And I'm going to stir it up. Now, I never measure my milk, so don't be alarmed by that. I learned how to make cornbread when I was about 15 years old. And I was taught not to measure your milk. So I go by feel and by look. And that is not enough. So let's add some more. Okay, so it can't be jalapeno cornbread without some jalapenos, right? So I'm going to be using these. It's just deli sliced hot jalapeno peppers. I buy these at Aldi, and I usually keep some in the fridge. So I'm just going to take some of these peppers and I'm going to put them on this plate. That is probably going to be enough for my small pound of cornbread. I'm just going to take them and I'm just going to cut them into smaller pieces so that they will be more evenly distributed through the mix. Now I'm just going to add them into my cornbread mixture, and I'm going to get them stirred up. And if I need to add some more, I can. I'm also going to add in some diced up onion. And get that good and mixed up. Now I've got my hot bacon grease out of the oven. I mean, it is smoking hot. I don't like to set a skillet that hot on my cold stove top, so I do get a trivet to set that on. And we're going to pour some of this bacon grease into our cornbread mixture instead of using oil. I'm just going to stir that up in it. Now I'm also going to add me a little mild white cheddar into my cornbread mixture. And I'm going to get that mixed up. Okay, I'm going to pour this into this hot grease. I'm going to pop this in the oven on 425 degrees for probably between 20 and 30 minutes. Turning my attention back over to my soup. It's ready to eat, but I am going to add some black pepper in. My cornbread is almost ready, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some heavy whipping cream into my potato soup. And that was probably around a quarter to a half a cup. I'm going to get that stirred in. You don't want to bring that to a heavy boil after you've added your milk in, but you do want it to get hot. That's going to thicken it up even more than what it already is by using the heavy whipping cream. And I like a good hearty thick potato soup, so I'm going to add in just a little bit more, and that should do it. I'm going to let this simmer until my cornbread is ready. Now my potato soup, it's good like it is, but it's a little bit chunkier than what I prefer. So I'm going to take my immersion blender and I'm just going to go in with that and see if I can get this a little bit finer than what it is. I think that's probably going to do it. And my cornbread is about ready to come out of the oven. And that is perfect for how I like it. I like mine smooth and creamy. And that is perfect for me. Got my cornbread out of the oven. It looks and smells delicious. And I can tell it's going to be nice and crunchy on the outside when I get it turned out onto a plate. I'm going to let it sit here for just a couple of minutes and let it cool down slightly, and we'll get it turned out. Okay, it's been a couple of minutes. This cornbread is still nice and hot, but I am going to turn it out onto this plate. Look how pretty that came out. That is some good looking cornbread, and I guarantee you it is delicious. We're going to let it cool slightly. Then we're going to dish us up a bowl of soup and get us a piece of this jalapeno cornbread. I've got me a nice big bowl of soup right here. I'm going to add some mild white cheddar to the top. Some parsley flakes. And some bacon bits. I'm going to cut into this cornbread right here. I'm just going to cut it in half. I'm going to show you the inside. Still very hot. Going to get me a slice of that, add me some butter, and we're going to give this a taste. Got butter inside, got butter outside. Let's go eat. Hey y'all, I think I'm going to taste the soup first before I taste the jalapeno cornbread. You know, just in case the jalapeno cornbread sets me on fire, I'll know what the soup tastes like. Okay. It's hot. Oh, that's good. You could add sour cream to it if you wanted to. I've already used all my sour cream, so that's a no-go for me. You top it with whatever you want to top it with. You could top it with some green onions. I topped mine with the cheese and bacon bits and some parsley. Soup is delicious. Now let's talk about this cornbread right here. I love making a little pan of cornbread like that. That's usually the pan I use even when Keith's home. And it makes enough for us to both have 2 pieces if we should choose to have 2 pieces. Now, I'll have leftovers of this since Keith's not home. But I have another night of soup left also. So, that's good. So I'm going to give this a taste. It's got butter in it. It's got butter on it. Here we go. That is so good. I love jalapeno cornbread. Using the bacon grease instead of oil gives it a really nice flavor. Y'all, the ingredient that I left out that I was taught to use in jalapeno cornbread, and my dad is the one that taught me how to make jalapeno cornbread, and he always uses this, but I don't feel like you have to have it. He uses a can of Mexicorn. He drains it and pours the whole can in. That is great if you're making a whole big pan of cornbread. I was not. I also didn't want to have to try to use up a partial can of Mexicorn. So I chose to leave that ingredient out. This is just as good without it. So don't feel like you have to put that in. So with all that being said, this is a delicious budget bite meal, and I'm going to go eat. Alright, for this recipe, you're going to need some already cooked grits. I had these left over, so I'm going to use them. I had put them in the fridge yesterday. I'm just going to take them and I'm going to put them in this bowl right here. I'm going to be cracking one very small egg in there. And I'm just going to mix that egg up in with the grits. I'm making grit cakes, by the way. So I'm just going to take me a little bit of onion. Now you can saute your onion first. I'm not going to. I'm fine with raw onion in there and it being a little crisp when I eat it. So that's not a major deal for me. But if you don't like crunchy onion, you may want to saute yours first. Sauteing it will also give it a little bit of added flavor. So I think that's probably going to be enough. I'm going to add in a heaping spoonful of flour. And I'm going to give this a good stir. I've got a little bit of bacon bits hanging out in this bag in the refrigerator. So we're going to get rid of these this morning. Just going to dump them all in there. I'm not measuring. I don't know how much that was. I'm also going to throw in some shredded cheese. Also not measuring this. Just going to stir all that up together. You want it good and combined. Now that I've got this good and combined, I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator for probably about 15 minutes and just let it firm up just a little more. You want to get you a skillet, put on the stove top, and you want to put some oil in it. Now, I'm just using some avocado oil. Use whatever you have. Now I want my grit cakes to have a little bit of crunch to them. So I've added in some panko breadcrumbs, and I'm just going to get those stirred up in there. And then I'm just going to drop mine by spoonfuls into the hot grease. I'm also going to add in a little touch of hot sauce. I think my oil is probably hot enough. Now I've just taken it and kind of separated it into 3 different sections there. I'm going to kind of mash it down just a little bit. I'm just going to take it, drop it in the oil. I'm going to flatten it out a little bit to make it more of a patty. And I'm just going to fry these up until they're golden brown. Now that little bit of grits turned into a lot, didn't it? I've got me a paper towel lined plate over here to put these on when they're ready. They're not ready yet, but they may be ready to flip, so we're going to check them and see. I think they are. Oh yeah. That is nice and golden brown. I'm going to continue to cook these until they're completely done. And then I'm going to fry me up an egg. Now you can also fry these in bacon grease or butter, but I didn't want butter because it would burn really quick, the butter would, and I don't want it burning. Now it would taste good. It'll also taste good fried in bacon grease, but I chose avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point, and I didn't want my oil burning before my grit cakes got done. I think these are probably ready. I'm going to take one out. I'll flip it over to be sure. Yeah, that is good and ready. And there are my grit cakes. Now let's get that egg fried. I'm just going to fry it in the same oil. Nice and hot. Just going to add me a little salt. A little pepper. And here you go. I've got 2 of the grit cakes on a little saucer, and I've topped it with a fried egg. Now, I don't like my eggs runny, so I did fry mine hard. But if you like your eggs runny, that is perfect over a grit cake. Slice into that egg and let the yolk run all over your grit cakes. Perfect if you like runny yolks. This is perfect for me, so I'm gonna go eat. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Budget Bites, and I hope that it maybe gave you some ideas or motivation in what you can get in your kitchen and find in your fridge, freezer, or pantry, and see what you can cook. Cooking doesn't have to be hard, elaborate, or too involved. A lot of times all it takes is just pulling a few items out, laying them on your counter or your kitchen table in front of you, seeing what you have, and letting your imagination spark some ideas on what you can cook for a meal. So if you enjoyed this video, go give it a thumbs up. Make sure to leave me a comment below and share the video with your friends and family. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you're reminded anytime I upload any new videos, and I will see you in the next one.